Welcome back to Stationeers. This is my playthrough of Europa on Stationeer difficulty, episode 20 already. We're like 60, almost 70 hours in. And I want to make it a point to show this text and then hide it again, because in the previous episode I stupidly forgot to remove that again. It was on screen the entire time for 3 hours. Sorry about that. I should really check out the recording system every once in a while in the future. So that will be a slight disturbance, but I think it's better than failing a recording. So I want to build a spaceport around rockets. I have built a spaceport and a space-worthy, space-ready rocket, except I don't have enough fuel yet. I pumped all the fuel in that I had in my lander in my tank from the lander, what was remaining of it, which was still a lot. Just got like 2 or 3 whiffs via the welding torches tank refilling. Anyway, and then I want to make volatiles mass production from plants and an arc furnace. And maybe I can also employ a composter, I'm not sure yet. Maybe I can even find out which one yields more or something, but that's all very, very maybe. And then the other stuff that's on the list should also take place at some point. This thing makes sure that the temperature doesn't fall below 20 degrees Celsius, and this other thing makes sure that the temperature doesn't fall below minus 60 degrees Celsius, because that's how it's programmed, and this chip is the one who does it, and that's why we need the logic connectors also, instead of just the power connectors, because the rocket is fine, and the landing control system, the control system here is fine also, with only the power being connected. It can access everything, and all the parameters can just be edited in a table down there. That is part of this standard Stationeers equipment. But if I have a chip in here and it wants to access these devices, it does use the classic logic connector approach. It doesn't matter that I have inverted these two, it's just an accident. Unintentional. And over here I want to make the fuel. Some fuel was, not fuel, some volatiles were already shredded. 15, almost 16 kilomoles, that's a lot. Do we still have something in here? Basically not, no. Basically not. Some thoughts that I had on this. First of all, there is an active vent here that doesn't do anything yet. It's just named, so we can deal with this now in programming. There's a chip, there's a programming motherboard, so we're all set for that. And here's a volume pump. And what I usually do when I implement these things is I just flick the pump on and off, or maybe the active vent, or both of them. And then the fuel mix in here will be kinda okay. I mean, the more it is, the smaller the error will be. But this time I want to try to, and this is today's episode, I want to try to regulate the pump's power. And so I have the following thought. If the goal is to mix fuel in the appropriate ratio, what would then be the first step down into the pyramid be? I mean, I talked about this aplenty, so I don't have to explain it again. The highest abstraction level is I intend, the next level is I intend what? And the next level in this case would then be, okay, what's then the will of the source code? What is that which the source code must want? And what the source code must want is find out what the mixer is and then act on these devices accordingly. If it is my goal for these devices not to just turn on and off, but also to regulate themselves, which this one cannot. Actually, I can. I can adjust the... yeah, but that's not where I want to go. This one will be triggering on and off and on and off. And this one, though, can adjust its power. So what's the next intention then of the source code? To crossfade between how much is coming in here versus what's coming in here. That's what it needs to do. It needs to do that in quotation marks intelligently. I don't know exactly yet how to do that, but I mean, people would now scream at the screen, use a PID, do it, and no, I won't, because this PID chip that we have in Stationeers, the simple one, I don't know how to use it yet, and I've heard that it is not the best implementation, and also I want to understand. I don't just want to screw around and then, oh, it's working, nice, let's move on, but I want to, you know, if there would be a PID chip one day, I want to be the one who has developed, basically. I mean, anyway. So the first thing I would implement then in source code is that I have some way to define what crossfading that would have a value like 0. That would mean only this one is pumping at full speed. 1 would mean maybe that this one is pumping at full speed, and then everything in between would mean that this one gets and this one would not be pumping, and this one would then pump, but very weakly, and at some point this one would start pausing every once in a while for one step or 2 or 3 or whatever. And that's the thing. Once I have defined that, I can crossfade. And once I can crossfade, I need the logic that determines what the setting shall be, that is cast at the crossfading logic. That's how I thought I should implement this. Since I will probably be producing plenty of fuel, let me actually spray paint this. I thought maybe I should also have a way for that fuel to get back into that fuel system. So maybe there should be a tank somewhere with already mixed fuel. Like, this is actually the thing that goes directly into the rocket, but I could also have some kind of storage, and then I can connect all of this. And so I could, for example, have a turbo volume pump here that can pump stuff from the pipe into, or not a turbo volume pump, because I mean, I would use the turbo for 2 directions, but in this case it would be only 1 direction. And then from the tank I can pump into this, and yeah, that's the way I think. So I would put an insulated, where would I put this tank? I mean, this stuff is already the bomb, but that stuff is definitely the bomb. It's kind of the same level. When this mixes with the atmosphere, which is pure oxygen, we have fuel basically, and if a perfect fuel tank would have the same problem, so why bother? I can just put that here somewhere. Yeah, let's put that here. Okay, so we need a fuel tank, not liquid, a gas tank insulated, a small one, because there's already lots of stuff. Then 2 pumps, 1 to pump into the tank and 1 to pump from that tank or its pipe network back into that fuel mixer pipe system. And I don't know if that's a good idea. I mean, I'm just tossing around some puzzle pieces and see what sticks. But this seems to be the right direction, so I just go there. Whoop. Copper. I have copper. I just started watching Interstellar again. I'm almost halfway through, because today and tomorrow is the last days to watch it again. Then it will be gone from Netflix for a week, I guess, and then it comes back, hey, or whatever. Because it's there basically all the time, but goddamn, is that a glorious film. I mean, there are people who don't like this film, and I pity those people, because they have a disability, that's what it is. No, that is how I see it. You might see it differently, but from my perspective, that is the truth. That is reality. People not absolutely fucking loving this film and being blown away by it, I pity those people, because they have a deficit. Portable gas tank Mark II, that's the one, right? No, that's not portable, no, kit tank, kit liquid, what am I doing? Insulated. Oh, that doesn't work? God damn it, get your fucking sorting in order. Every space separates a snippet. All snippets have to be in the search result. This filters down the amount of things that are to be listed here. It's straightforward, it's logical, it's what users expect, and it's very easy. Also, it doesn't even matter which order the snippets are in. Kit insulated tank, yeah, that's it, I think. Yep. Need this stuff. Silicon, a bit more, please. In the previous episode I finally got this battery, the power room situation sorted, which is I made 10 batteries, starting here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, oops, well, not sure, maybe I already had 2, but anyway, these are new, that's why they're empty, and these are not new, and they're empty because I didn't have enough power. But then I made out here, let's actually see how strong they are blowing. I mean, not blowing. Not at all. a bunch of new of the tall wind turbines, and when there's ever a storm I would probably say, haha, this is it, endgame. 1 kilowatt only. Well, they're basically not moving at all. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's one row. And I made these 2 rows, so I made 12 of these guys. When before we had 1, 2, 3 rows. So I almost doubled the capacity of this. And I certainly haven't doubled the capacity of my power consumption. Certainly that pipe heater with 1000 watts that keeps kicking in all the time, that one is expensive. Two kilowatts being used there, 1600 coming in, and there's another network. Yeah, not the best way to lay that cable, huh? Hey, let's change that. This is the cooling system for the room. The room was at 80 degrees Celsius, and before that it had been at like 30 or 40, which is when I then slept. That was like 6 episodes ago. So a passive vent, which has various build forms, the one that you know, this one, the one that you know with a lever, and the one that some people don't know, which just opens the wall. It's just symmetrical on the inside and outside. Onto the wall, because the atmosphere in here is not special, it's just planetary atmosphere, to cool the room. And so that's what I had done. But then later it had climbed up again from like minus 20 degrees up to 80. But that's when I then slapped a simple cooling solution on it, just a pipe cowl that lets in the atmosphere, insulated pipes so we don't get constant uncontrollable cooling. This pipe just opens the gas here, and so this pipe will cool down and communicate the thermal situation with the room. Negotiate, basically. Yeah, I think we can actually cable this up better. That is risky. Will that work? I have to open the floor here. If I ever find the crow, there it is. Oh yeah, looking good. Hello. That's better. Yeah, it would almost have been not good. I think this is correct. I hope this is correct. Now we can look, and we're consuming 2000 watts. 3000 watts, 2000 watts, 3000, 2000, and you get it, right? This is a rocket arena. And basically all the power is being blown for lights.
Hangar caution.
And we have also almost 3000 watts, so about 5000 watts are being sucked away. Currently 12,000 watts coming in. Okay, that's good. And during the day we have 5000 additional from the solar panels, and it's not far from the day. You might think, oh, the day is coming, he will go mining again and will tell us again about the world in ways that we don't want to, because we want to stay uneducated. Because this thing with the age of reason coming is logical, so we're bound to this truth by reality. So be glad that there's someone who binds you to it early by the words spoken, while you can relaxedly watch a game. But no, I don't have to mine. I just went mining in the previous episode a lot. So I made 2 pumps and a tank. Here's the garage. Shall I show you the garage? Currently the airlock is cycled to the indoors. Now this is being pumped into some tanks. But then the door will just open, explosive decompression. Which I wish was a bit stronger in this game than it is. Because you can just make airlocks that use explosive decompression and will only be mildly annoyed by the gas that flows around your ingots and such, particularly if your station is at high pressure, like 120 kilopascals or whatever. But otherwise, and I wish that was stronger. Even if that is not fitting with the actual simulation implementation, they could make a special rule for that and detect this and this kind of gradient between fields and then just afflict you with a particular force that is added upon it, like cheating, you know? Which is fine. I mean, as long as it would be within reason. I think that's the way I should do it. But, I mean, they're not listening to me exactly. Yet. Yeah, that's my airlock. My garage. And this is with the thing with which I want to travel over there, which will be a long journey, to build 2 deep miner stations in one place. Now the planetary atmosphere will be removed, and once that is completed, the rest of the atmosphere here from this pipe system will be pumped into the room. And once there's no atmosphere left here, it will not do that anymore and instead just open the door. Which is a fair deal, I think. The target pressure in here is 100 kilopascals. On average, I mean all of these gas sensors, every little box here has one. Yeah, see? So we basically have only very mild gas movement. I mean, imagine explosive decompression between this and that. That gets boring fast. Ah yeah, well, while I'm showing you stuff, my storage room, which has a centrifuge here and a recycler there. That's where I use to stuff into the recycler. All of these are lockers. Only very few are used so far, but okay, this will change. Like thin cables, heavy cables, blah blah blah. This is the kind of thing that I plan. Out there is a new section that is not yet built far. We have a little electronics room where there's some batteries. And this section is powered by those batteries. Is it though? Why is this door dark? Oh, I haven't yet cabled it up. Yeah. And there's an airlock that uses the garage source code. It's a big airlock, 6x2 maybe, for a person. Yeah, luxurious airlock. The section over there is supposed to be sophisticated for living with shower and all of that. This is already kind of looking like that. I mean, if you look at this, imagine the lockers closed, which is, by the way, advisable. I mean, it's too bad that we cannot know what's in a locker, really, without opening it, so usually lockers are kept open. But, let me show you something that you probably guesstimated, but just show it to you for certain. See, there's nothing in the locker. Now, if I open the locker, suddenly there are things in the locker. See, it's not being rendered, so that certainly saves some rendering time. And I will kill the DJ, one moment please. Bang, bang. Automatic door. Did you know that they react also the motion sensors to items? But beware, there's a bug here. When you load in, the door will be closed, even though there's an item lying here. Already reported, of course. Little greenhouse. Freshly harvested. Oh, I forgot some. Uh-oh. I mean, they're all thriving. I must have forgotten to click something. Soybeans, you say. Soy. I only have 4 seeds. Thriving. Yeah, let's leave this empty then, whatever. Or can I just put some soy oil in there? No, it doesn't work. 90 grams of flour. Yeah, these days I don't live off French fries, but bread. And these days, I don't drink because my helmet is closed. But instead I just go here, click the button, and since that takes a heck of a long time, just do this. There. There's no such shortcut for eating. And thank you. Bleh. My cooling system here, which has some nitrogen in there, and whenever it gets too hot, it will pump that automatically with the turbo volume pump over there, so that there's a connection, thermally speaking, and later it will pump that back, and that's how that works. Not a great solution, but it gets the job done. Do I have enough oxygen? Yes. Do I have enough of this jetpack? Not so much, but I don't want to waste time waiting on that now.
Low pressure.
Right.
Oxygen critical. Pressure critical.
Deep miner facility, which keeps spitting out iron like nothing. 12, we have 6 kilograms of iron here. Even though I keep using it to make steel, which you can tell by the amount of steel used. All the lights are on all the time, except for the few rooms that you've seen where it turns on automatically. And I know that's a waste. Maybe I will change that later. So with one pump I want to enable this stuff to be pumped in here, and with another pump I want to make sure that this guy can pump in there. I'm thinking about putting another, actually I should have brought that then, but I think I have another pump here, another pump in there because it feels a bit iffy to me. Do I have pumps here? Oh, there's one. Black. Feels a bit iffy to me that the fuel mixing is taking place in there, and whatever fuel is in there will then automatically creep up here to the umbilical, which might be turned on at the time and might be extended, which it currently isn't. And that seems too uncontrolled to me. This rocket, man, and this fuel, and it's a bomb and explosive, basically. I should have some control over this. So let's first solve this loop here, where I pump into this guy. This is how this guy can give back, basically. And then there will be a pump that gives to the guy. And there should be a pump up there also, soon enough. We have a storm warning. Oh man, there's a hole right here. Is the sun out or not? Dude, it looks like as if the sun is out, but I can't see it. Have I turned off the lens flare? I'm sure that I didn't, but... Oh, should we turn that on for a moment? Let's see what that will do. I mean, distance shadow lens flare is on. I can't see the sun though. Neither can I see Jupiter. What's happening? Something's wrong here, man. I mean, no reason to worry really, but weird it is, definitely. Or is this just still... No, there's a clear shadow here. Oh, there it is. I just saw the sun. And I see my neck also. In the neck of time. No idea what's going on there. Anyway. A new phenomenon arises. By the way, a new phenomenon, let's take a look at the Discord, for I haven't checked that. Oh, look at that, there's a new build that I could actually have installed. Or maybe it was installed. Let's see what it says. Added first pass on crew umbilical for entering rocket crew module. Ah, crew umbilical. So that will be the 5th time of a type of umbilical. The umbilicals always come in pairs. There's one thing that you put in the rocket, and there's a big thing that you put in the launch tower, and then they can connect if they are aligned. And so we have 4 types. That will be the 5th type. The 4 types are shoot for items, power for electricity, and then gas and liquid. and then fixed error spam that could happen when a rocket data uplink was connected to a rocket downlink and powered on, but didn't have a data cable connection. Huh. Haven't yet encountered this, though I have encountered rocket bugs aplenty. I made a video about that recently, and that video I think is even valuable, because I don't know how many people know about these bugs, or rather what to do when they encounter them, or when exactly they happen. As in, how can they avoid making them happen, or how can they get out of them when they happen. I mean, this looks cool, right? I mean, let me remove that again. Immersion is one thing, but it's annoying to have that on screen the whole time, I think. Also, let me check the recording system. Looking good. Yeah. Yep. Yep. I mean, this looks good, but I need the interface to work with this thing. So that's a bit annoying. Maybe I should actually... You know what? Okay, 1 second. I have an idea. Maybe that is actually will improve further recordings for starting next episode. That could help. Put a mouse hotkey so I can just turn the interface on so easily that it will make sense to do that all the time. Maybe that will improve the recordings significantly. Alright. So
Waste tank caution.
I can pump. I can pump from the rocket section back into this tank. I can pump from the tank section back into the fuel mixer section. And now I need a pump between the rocket section and the fuel mixer section. That's the idea now. So obviously the pump will go there. Exactly there.
Power low.
Nope. Yes. And all of these are volume pumps, so I cannot accidentally... I mean, as in, they are not turbo volume pumps where I can accidentally get the direction wrong. Like this, I guess. Because I would be operating them from below. And that's even doable. Cool. I should actually have some pipe pressure display thingies. That would be nice. That was clear, wasn't it? Where else to put the cable? This is just the spot. Oh! Don't fall? Yeah, of course. There were only two choices. I found the wrong one. And then how to power them. Okay, now I need pipe pressure thing here. That's the same section, effectively. A pipe pressure thing here, and in there also. And one here. So we need four pipe pressure thingies. And cable and a spray can, and I need to replenish, like, I mean, my waste is full and so forth. I swear, this hole. Do we have power? Yup. Okay, let's deal with my needs. And then bring, I would say 10 or whatever pipe analyzers. I'm sure I'm gonna make use of... What is this? Oh, I think I understand now. It's the time of the year that's changing, and so we see the early morning sun, which might actually be occluded quasi by a mountain. And I think what we saw was possibly the world rendering being wrong. The mountain is actually higher up, but the world rounds. The more distant something is, the more lower it will be. And maybe the sun was occluded because the mountain is actually up here or something. I don't know. Potential bug. I mean, it's a glorious game, but goddammit, do they have many bugs in this thing? You could hire an entire team to squash all those bugs. No, that's not what I mean. What I need? Meter. Yeah, a pipe meter. Print. Empty waste tank. Refill this.
Jetpack critical.
And then we have to think about another problem, which is the oxygen in here is getting awfully low because I keep farting all the nice oxygen from in here to into my jetpack. And also I'm breathing them in and converting them. I don't know if the plants can catch up with the conversion. I cannot tell. They should, in my opinion, because I'm just one guy and I mean, look at this. I have a little power problem. I remember, which is here? No. Where was it then? Huh. I thought I had some. I'm misremembering things. No, I don't think so. Here we go, 8%, yeah. Thanks, that's enough. Yeah, okay, now we have more pipe meters than intended. Whatever will I do? Do I need something else while we're here? Could still care a bit more. Programming back and forth. Do I need some light? Some status light, maybe? I could possibly make use of a console that can show me a value over time. I think that could be of great help. So let's use a graph display. First a memory chip, that's the thing I would forget. Then a console. And then a graph display. I'm full. Okay, let's just leave some 5 meters here. They're not gone. The stacker's almost at 500. The centrifuge has 100. Here we have, well, 400 is the limit, so this one's basically full. This one has been emptied recently. And this one is also 100. The iron, it is flowing. Yeah, flying rockets actually fun. But I haven't yet gotten to doing that in survival. Ah, here's the sun, theoretically, maybe. I mean, seriously, where's the fucking sun? Why can't I see it? Let me just check the beta changelog of yesterday. Added another start location for Vulcan. Added additional checks to prevent lander capsules spawning on top of each other. Added additional checks to ensure players don't respawn inside geometry. Okay, and before that, nothing special. It was the weekend. So I don't know if they did something and my system was updated. Why is the sun not visible? Or why is it bright then? I mean, huh. Weird, weird. Where could that graph display be? I think the rotation doesn't matter. Oh, I forgot the glass sheet. I might have some glass sheets nearby. And I forgot the cables. Where goddammit is the sun? It even sees reflection. Oh no, it's gone again? Maybe the sun is right on the threshold, like wandering around Jupiter effectively. Who knows? That would make sense. No glass here, so let's print some cables. I got a bunch already. Don't have to wait for them. And then finally stop stalling and get to the fucking programming, which I fear a bit. I mean, because I haven't done it like this yet. I'm sure I can figure it out, but how many episodes am I gonna hemming and hawing after all this is recorded, live, so to speak. Cable coil. Yeah. Yep, not too many cables. Good thing that I'm printing some. Ah, and glass, yeah. Glass, 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 glass. Oh, we have one extra glass sheet here. That's hilarious, I guess. Best game ever. A world in which you can get lost. A world that is so complex. Of course, it has nothing on actual reality itself. Hilarious, right? Of course, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not stupid. But it is a game that can make you forget the question of the meaning of life, which cannot really be answered anyway. Or if there's an answer, the answer is do what the fuck you want. But I mean, everything here is just meshing so well. Why am I playing this game? Because, I don't know, why do you live? That's what I mean, you know? Metaphorically, that's kind of what it is. It's just all, I'm doing this stuff and then the other stuff, and it works together somehow and so forth. And so I hope that this game will just keep thriving and thriving like forever. That would be the best thing. This light in here should actually turn off automatically. I haven't yet implemented that. Good moment then to do that. I hope I won't waste too many lines, else I will have to put another chip there. Okay, just this moment rocket station crashed. It crashed. I have never seen that I mean, I've seen this pop up. Rocket Station Unity 23 2022.3.7F1 underscore B16B3B16C7A0, and now it's gone. I don't know if this is still recording the screen. Yeah, it is. No, it isn't. And I haven't saved. I have not saved yet because I don't have autosave on. So that's wonderful, I guess. Should I start over? Well, what else would I do? I don't know why it crashed, because I have no crash experiences with Stationeers. It doesn't crash for me, but now it did. That's annoying. I'm just updating to a new version. That's done. Start. So now we get the newest beta. Not that it will do much. That sucks big time. Basically, I should start this video over, huh? But I also showed you around in the station. Should I do that again? See, that, I mean, it's not entirely... Basically, the game dying regarding the things I already showed you, instead of doing anything, those things are not lost. Because they wouldn't change. Maybe it was related to that sun thing with the flare or whatever? I hope that doesn't happen again, man. I have no clue why that happened. Maybe because the station has become too big, but is it really that much? I've seen bigger stations. Clear. Orbit. Orbit timescale 003. And difficulty is stationary. Okay. They stay here. I mean, if this is already the limits of what the game can do, then the game is too complex for its own engine. I made 2 pumps. So we need copper and the other stuff. And then pipe meters. Batteries. Okay. Oh. All that battery charging and furnacing that's going on actually led to a brownout. Yep. volume pump, and what do we have here? 4 pipe meters, which is the amount of pipe meters I need, but I want to make some more. Currently this one was charging with 1000 watts, this one, yeah, that's it. And all the smelting, and the station is already close to its limits, protected by a transformer, so nothing really bad can happen. Did I forget something? Pumps. Insulated pipes are over there. A glass. How though? I'll just leave these guys here then. Saving. Oh, right. Makes me wonder if I loaded the right save game. Why is it still so deep in the night? I mean, this thing is the last thing that I did in the previous episode, and it did explicitly not cable it up, because that's what I come in here, I look at this thing, oh, why is it not cable up? Oh right, I still need to program that. So where did the time go? Where's the sun? But maybe it's alright, maybe the sun will be visible down there, and then whatever. Oh, these don't exist yet? I forgot the tank. Oh, and I forgot the disc. I need the disc for this too. One of them should be in here. But where? I could put it here. Ah, that works. By the way, some people, yeah, save, escape, need to read something to you. I mean, in case you, I don't know actually who is listening to which part of which video. I don't know that, and I will just speak and someone might listen or not. Not my problem. So, if Stationeers crashes, here are some tips. So someone was asking, the reason I'm asking this question is to determine whether my PC has a fault or is the current expected, or if it's the current expected behavior for Stationeers. For me, Stationeers tends to crash 2 or 3 times when starting up and then crashes another 2 or 3 times when loading a save, each time to desktop when I restart the process. Best has been 0, worst has been like 10 plus. Is this the game or my PC? When I responded to that, I have heard multiple times on Discord that upgrading one's BIOS to the most current version, which is by the way what I have done like a month ago, should help. At least you should check how old your current BIOS version is versus the most current available to know if that could possibly be a problem. Also, with those recent Windows update shenanigans and SSD drives, people should have the most current BIOS and the most current drive firmwares anyway. And so you should, I mean, if you do this now and regret it, then I'm sorry, but it is really a current thing that you should make sure that your drives have the most current firmware, else you might regret it bitterly. I mean, just the drive disappearing and then coming back after a reboot, or actually all data being lost. That is a real thing. I'm not shitting you. There was maybe you can Google that. You can say Windows update, SSD drives, data loss, combination of that. Then you will find information about that. I'm not saying that Microsoft fucked up. I'm not saying that at all. But it happened when Microsoft released an update, and then it turned out that some SSD vendors had actually released some accidentally, or however that happened, released some beta firmware into the wild, and so on and so forth. So yeah. Well, and then for the actual core of this speech, then another user responded, I had a really similar issue for the first week I was playing. The game would either randomly crash with ntdll.dll errors showing in the Windows event viewer, blue screen of death the whole computer after a while, or play fine. Then I'd suddenly fall through the terrain. Turning off the Intel speed step and speed shift in BIOS stopped the blue screens of death. Doing Windows repair reinstall stopped the ntdll.dll crashes. Updating BIOS stopped all the other errors like null reference exceptions and falling through the world. Finally, after a really frustrating week of playing, I haven't had a single crash since. So that is hopefully helpful. Or maybe hopefully not, because if it's helpful to you, that means that you have problems, and I'm not hoping that. I should make the light automatic while we're here. So that would be since Oku. Or should I start with the topic? Yeah, let's start with the topic. The topic is fuel mixer light since Oku. That's what it is. I'm browsing inwards. This is this is the continent, this is the country, this is the region, and this is the, well, I don't know, street address, whatever. Zooming in. When I give you this first, you won't know. When I give you this after, you won't know. When I give you this after, you won't know. When I give you this, then finally you know. Otherwise, the other way around, you will know something the whole time and can already puzzle together whatever's in your mind regarding these things. And that's also how communication in general should work. That's also why I write my dates like this. You know, first the general here, because the 3rd of what? The 3rd of November. Okay, of which year? Oh well, 1975. Okay, that completely rips the context I was slowly building while you were speaking away in my mind, and I'm rebuilding a new one. Thank you! Why not zoom in like this? Also, this allows for alphabetical sorting, and also this is actually an ISO norm. I think it goes like this, but of course I leave out the T because it's just ridiculous. And by the way, I always use this because it kind of looks like a colon and is file name compatible. You're welcome. So that is that. Then we need the lights themselves, because I only want to control these ones. So fuel mixer light. Yeah. That's child's play. No other chip here. Oh, the rocket circuit housing. I can access that from here. Really? Oh right, I remember, because the uplink-downlink combination makes all devices off the rocket visible here, actually. Yeah. Yeah, let me demonstrate. Let's just look at the screw here, and then you will see at some point, for example, the pipe heaters. Yep, pipe heater 1, pipe heater 2. And they're all here, all of it is here. Keep clicking, then you will be alphabetically at the beginning again. Lots of wall lights. And then press R, or whatever that is for you, probably C. You can see that in the tooltip, and go backwards, because when you go backwards, there's also the option no device, which was the origin. Only when you go there, only when you go backwards. Fuel mixer logic. Define. What do I want to define? The since Oku hash structure. Should be a hotkey that just spits structure in there, man. Structure occupancy sensor. Now my particular occupancy sensor define sense Oku. Fmix light. Yeah, that should be it. And there was what? There was fuel mixer, light, sense, Ocu. Systematic for the win. And then we have the lights. Define, that is actually structure, light, long, wide. Structure, light, long, wide. Long, wide. Define, light, long, wide. Actually, no, this is not... I want to define now all the lights that are in the fuel mixer room. F mix. Light f mix hash. Fuel mixer underscore light. Load batch named into R0 from the occupancy sensor, whether it's activated, and then I will write that very information to all lights that pass this filter, and this should give us the automatic light, and it does. Save. Interesting, the sun is not visible. Should it by now be visible? I don't know what happened there, man. I mean, I loaded the game, and then I spent a few, maybe a minute or so, less than that probably. That's also why I had swapped my battery out, because it was already at 5%. I swapped it with a mining drill, and then I started the recording, you know, I just like the fifth attempt, and every time I get the beginning wrong. I just came from work, have eaten, and I'm not fresh yet, so I had to get into the flow. But, I mean, what happened there? I reloaded one time, maybe that's an issue. I mean, this complex station left to the main menu, then reloaded again, maybe something that got stuck, but now we have a fresh reboot. Also we have a new version, but that shouldn't play a role. Okay, what's the goal right now? Let's first lay some pipes, and I need a tank then. Yeah, let's start with the tank, like last time, that was very right. And there was another pump, wasn't there? Here, the rocket user interface. Here I can say turn on the engine, which will promptly consume 200 watts. The battery is currently burdened with 65 watts. 65? Yes, the, I guess the chip will consume, I don't know, the downlink consumes 50 watts, I know that for a fact. Then we have the avionics, which consume 10 watts. See, 55? Now it's 65. And then 5 watts for, I guess, the IC housing. I don't know if that consumes that. Let's look that up. Rocket housing, 5 watts. That up? Okay. In case you want to build a rocket, you need to make the launch mount. All of that is printed with the rocket manufacturer. You need to print the launch mount. It will tell you what you need to place it, and it will tell you what you need to construct it, but you need a launch mount. You can have arbitrarily many of these, as far as I understand. At least you can have multiple, and this will then give you multiple places where you can land your rocket. So you can transport things from A to B with that. A tank. Kit insulated tank. eat some. That's kind of how I went about eating today. I mean, I was extraordinarily quick, which is not good. I mean, the more time you give yourself eating, the more your body will welcome the food. Because in the chewing more thoroughly, you're not pushing it down or whatever. But today I just want to get to it. I mean, I want to record shit, but I have to go to work. I hate that. I have fun at work, but I have more fun doing this, and I can do only one of the two. But I don't have a choice. And a mystery to you, of course, even if I would have suddenly $1 billion, I would have to keep going to work. For reasons that I cannot lay out to you. Yet. But it will be known. It will be known. There goes a pump. No, that's wrong. It has to be like this. This one pumps back into here, and this one pumps back into here. Yep, that was the idea. Man, to see Stationeers crash? That's not a good experience. I thought this game was basically impervious to such a thing as crashes. This pumps back from here, and now we need a pump between those two guys. Yeah, that was less painful than anticipated, right? Was more fluid. Oh, that's not right. It's cool that during morning the wind sound picks up a bit. Oh, can I actually put a cable through this one? No, I can't, huh? Hilarious! Really, that should... Oh, look at that, the sun. My god, I wouldn't have believed. But the sun is a thing in this world. Where's Jupiter, by the way? Oh, don't tell me Jupiter is invisible, because it might mean that we get another crash or whatever. Should be over there. And don't worry, I made a copy. I have a copy for each episode. Episode 1, Episode 2, Episode 3. It's a completely new save game tree for each of them. And actually, coincidentally, yesterday I made a backup of Episode 1 to 19. Not an offsite backup though, so that's a thing. So that pumps over here and also in here, but that doesn't matter, it's just the same volume. It's not like, oh, it also has to flow to the side. No, it's Stationeers, this is just a container. If I pump in something here, it would be immediately in here to the same degree. And if I take this pipe away, the volume will just shrink by this amount. And there we go, that's all that will happen. If I take this one away, then we of course get two pipe networks. This volume will shrink, and well, there will be a volume here in the first place, and it will be separated properly. So it's not just half of it, that would not be logical, but the respective amount. And this one pumps back to main. Okay, spray paint. Neat. Here we already have some volatiles, but nothing's in here. It's completely empty. So if I want to test around with these pipes, I would do well to just remove this one pipe here. No gas would have been lost. Because then I can look and see what that does. This thing will be on and on. This thing will also be on, but I cannot see that from here. So I should put an indicator light here. That shows me that. An indicator light. And I need a disk, because this guy needs to be assigned to memory. So I need a disk and a light. Maybe I also need an auto lathe, right? All that other stuff over here. But no, that's just too much. Why do I have so many cables left? No, I don't think I forgot something. There's a remainder of the cables that were tossed out here. Light. Do I have some extra printed lights, maybe? I do not. I should have a locker full of lights, but we're not there yet. I don't have that amount of resources. Right. And I need, damn, I forgot. What else did I need? Lights to indicate whether the thing is on. That was something else. Why did I forget that again? Damn. Fuel mixer, pipe, active vent. Ah, right, the disc. Stop and think. That's pathetic. It couldn't print more than 2. I mean, I didn't want more than 2. That's not the point. Hey, I don't have enough resources to print a disc. You said that in the forums? I mean, if someone would say it in the forums, ban them. That is so pathetic. I'm kidding. To about 60%? Oh, I can just assign the volume pump here? Interesting. Logic. Oh, maybe I should give this thing a name, huh? Obviously, that would be fuel mixer memory. Or mem. And there we go. Fuel mixer mem. Updated immediately. Very good. Whatever I write on this thing, we can see that as a 30-second chart here. By default, the value range is from -1 to 1, classic sinus range. But the range will automatically stretch. If you go upwards here, it will be 3, 4, whatever. And what I did once, for example, was to use some math to change, to let this thing show basically the upper end of the curve of my station pressure. So if you would zoom out, the station pressure would start down there somewhere, go up to here, and here we would just see the mountains. And why? Because I have a cooling system in that station that sucks from the room, pumps through some cooling pipes, and then pumps back into the room. That was my first cooling system ever. And it was pretty ridiculous, but also pretty effective. And one day I left it on accidentally, because I also had some LEDs. They were connected outside the station, and I had cut some off, and I was still using the screws because I was a peasant beginner. And so then at some point I look in the station and see what's happening there. Why is the air moving the whole time? Go in, -20 degrees, and my potatoes, the only thing I had to eat there, were probably dying. But the way in which I had filled that room on the moon, by the way, with gas was a furnace on the outside, which I would then pump indoors into a filtration unit. So the idea was, let this thing rot until it's cold enough and then pump in. But in this particular situation, I was benefiting from the side effect of the gas by default being too hot. So I quickly made some gas, pumped it in, plants were saved. Action engineering, yeah, beautiful. No thanks. Good. Now the goal is to simulate this on-offness situation. What light will I use to indicate that? Should be one that is very special. That it looks very special. Diode slide would look right, I guess, but what value would I then show on the diode slide? It's not just the thing that can turn on and off and does not actually cast any light, just looks lit. But also, it can show a value, like a progress bar. Could I meaningfully show some value there? Yeah, I could show the value visually here that is chosen from the mixer when it comes to, you know, the sliding from 0 to 1, the crossfading. That would be a nice extra use of that. Actually, very fitting. Good, do that. Fuel mixer Dart slide. Is that all I want here? Well, I guess I give it a special one because there might be multiple. X fade and vent on. Wow, what a name. At least everybody's gonna know what the fuck that's about. Define hash. And what is that? That is the dart slide. X fade and vent on. Define slide hash structure diode slide. And while we're at it, define structure active vent. And then this guy also has a name. What is the name that it has? I guess it will get a new one now. Save. Fuel mixer vent. Oh, I gave it the... Oh, okay. I didn't even know I had already established this name pattern. F-mix, of course. And then I need something that I forgot. I thought about that today. I want a dial here where I can manually choose the fuel mixer crossfade thing. Because I want a manual and automatic mode, which in turn I also need to define with a switch. But if I have that switch and it turns off, then this should mean that not only should the automatism no longer kick, but it should also turn off the pump and the vent. And then I need a way to turn on the pump, which I can hear by clicking on the pump, and a way to turn on the vent, which I cannot because I need a switch for that. So I need a lever, I need a dial, and I need well, another lever. So 3 logic switches basically, because all of those are the same kit. Wouldn't that be cool to have that not on F2 but on a different key? Can I do this right now? Let me see. Currently have have a bunch of buttons on the side of my mouse because I want to be prepared. That is not it. That is 4. I wonder what 1, 2, and 3 are right now. I have to check that. I have, and I cannot probably say that, it's not a bad mouse, but anyway, I have a Red Dragon mouse, I don't know which one exactly, is that written below? Red Dragon Impact, and it's a good one, I like it, it's a bit too heavy for my taste. I mean, the Razer I had before, but I'm never gonna buy anything from Razer again, what a shit company. I mean, they're really the perfect example of talk to the hand, though I must say that Trade Republic are even worse than that, but okay. Well, I can define all kinds of macros and such, but they only will affect the current application. So I cannot have a hotkey there that starts, for example, ops or pauses it, except if I am currently in the ops window. But the Razer mouse does that differently. The Razer mouse can do that properly. No. Not the intention of this click. Okay, what is currently configured for my 1, 2, and 3 buttons? Customize, side. So there's control. I see, there's a key combination. Damn. And that's this key? I can change those per application, right? But I cannot like do this in the second. Well, let's just say I The number 4 is going to tell you, oh, I can't use that either. Crap. I basically would have to assign that when rocket station is running. Can I do this just right now? Please be patient with me, like as per usual. Name profile 1. Name standard. Exclamation point. No, 2 exclamation points, because then I will know I was the retard who called it that. Apply. Is it the name? No, there. Yeah, okay. What just happened? How do we name that? The default profile cannot be deleted or renamed. Oh. That's funny, because I wanted to call that standard, as in this is the default. Okay, switch to the next one then. Profile is already used. What? Okay, not now then. Okay, whatever. Anyway, let's go back. Need 3 switches. How are we doing power-wise? And the sun goes away again, that stupid asshole. 12,000 watts coming in. Batteries? Still looking not very glorious. I wonder if I have a problem here. I mean, how much power am I really using? Are they charging up or not? I mean, for that I also need a solution. Should I do that now? I mean, I've been postponing this for the longest time. What is it then that I would have to do here? Well, it would be nice, for example, to see whether the power is increasing or decreasing. And that's the least thing I can do. Just an LED on the wall that shows me the current average power level of the station with a bunch of decimal places, so I can just look at this and know. That would be the first step. Let's just do that. So 3 switches and 3 LED consoles and the laptop. Obviously I had some brownouts while arc furnace. It's 9 PM already. I want free time, 24/7. I want my own free life, yeah. And I have a recipe of getting that. Just takes a heck of a long time to implement. That would have to be connected to the green cables, which are not over here yet. The logic mirror makes this thing accessible on the green cable network, for which over there I have this chip, which controls, among other things, this cooling here. And that would also be the one where I put this thing then. Yeah, this seems reasonable. Right at the door. No, not like this. Because, stupidly, you cannot spray paint these guys when they're on the wall. But what you can do is, you can spray paint a stack and then put it on the wall. Huh. Is this optimally placed? Does anything in here have a name? Rocket Zone Power. Deep Miner Power. It's not programmed, else I would have used the underscore scheme. There's only rare exceptions where I don't do that. The rare exception being basically this one thing. The door, which shows the text on its side. So if I were to ever program that using the name, I would have to live with whatever name ends up being on the door. So I have no name scheme yet, or do I? Digital valve battery cool, okay. So that's... I don't know which naming scheme I want to use. Sometimes I use this one, sometimes I use that one. But that will develop eventually, and I'm sure about that. If there's an answer, it will develop towards an answer. And that answer may well be the zooming in thing that I described earlier and used earlier. So, battery room... This is the power station. Let's just call it batteries. Bat LED. Import. How full is this? It's fine. Here, turning the batteries on somewhere, right? Structure the structure battery. Okay. Define. That's that thing. And that is the LED bad total. And then I also need define LED big, medium, or small. No. First I have to look that up again, because I can't for the life of me remember these. Right badge named into this LED, and that it shall be on. That is certainly the case. Also that the mode shall be 0, because I just want to show a number with a bunch of decimal places. The color, well, the color could express whether they're charging up or not, and I can display that easily. Yeah, just say alias the previous battery charge shall be R15. Sorry. What are the batteries? Here we go. Load batch into R0 from all batteries, the ratio per battery, but all of them together, and then give me the average. I only have one battery type, so this will mathematically work. These are the only, only the batteries in that room are on this network, so that should also work. That is my current, and later I would have to move that to previous. But first I want to find, well, one of the things I want to do definitely is I want to show that value on the LED. That is already a given. Right batch named to that thing, setting R0. So now we should see that already. But I want to also play with the colors. So we'll now subtract into well, this one, for example. But no, let's not do that. I could, because the register's value will be overwritten anyway. And so I wouldn't be using extra registers. But I can use extra registers easily, and it would be crappy to read. I would be confused. The goal in source code certainly is not just to make it work, but also to make you be as little confused as possible when you read that. So R1 shall have the result of the difference of these two, I guess. Let's see. Previously we had 100. Now we have 200. This means that we have a negative number. That's stupid. I want to find out whether we are increasing. So now we have 200. Previously we had 100. The result is 100, which is a positive number. And then I can react, hey, we have something positive here. Show that. Da 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 da, you know? But how do I express that? I mean, the color change should be subtle. Else reading will be very annoying. Then again, how often will it change? It depends on the power consumption, which might sometimes kick in when an arc furnace takes the next thing from the stack, and when the fuel heater thing kicks in, and rarely when the wind turbines are a bit stronger or a bit weaker. So in other words, this might actually change pretty often. Would be bad if it switches between green and red and so forth. That would make reading a terror. I can switch between white and gray, of course, but what about the third stage when nothing is changing? Or should I not show that? Tricky. I mean, how likely is it that it doesn't change at all? That's basically very, very, very unlikely. So since the batteries are actually exposed sometimes to, well, no, that also doesn't work with discharging, then I would just have erred on the side of loss, you know. But okay, let's just go with that and see what happens. So now I have in R1 my information, and battery charge previous has already been dealt with, and the information is also shown. Now I have to select, now I have to create a logic statement right into register R1 based upon R1 less than 0. So if it's less than 0, we would have a 1 in here. So if now we have less charge than we had in the previous game step, then we will have negative value here. Maybe we should go for less than or equal. Slez. Sounds about right, wrong. That's the right amount of wrong, yeah. Less than or equal 0 if it is discharging, or if it's 0, okay, it's not charging up. Then we have a 1 in here. And when we have a 1 in here, I will show the discharge color. Thankfully, there's a select statement, which saves us a couple of lines and makes the code more readable. Based upon this logic statement, I will read into this register when we have loss, the color dot gray. Was it gray? I would go for gray, but sometimes they're using the English way to write it. Otherwise, the color white. Excuse me? What? Excuse me? Gray exists, but white doesn't? Black also doesn't? At least they are not playing the race card here. What is happening? Color. No, that's not it. Here. That's where we have to look. Color. And I have to press enter, it appears. Yeah, color black exists actually. Blue, brown, gray, green, khaki, orange, pink, purple, red, white. It exists. Are you kidding me? What's happening? So color gray works here? What if I would have used black here? Except, okay, color.gray. I thought it was working because I'd used it before, maybe. What? What? Ha 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 ha. Screenshot. There's definitely a bug here. But let's just, I'm sorry, let's just see what happens if I use this. Maybe it's just the editor being a bit stupid. Wait, maybe I should also write the color. Export. Okay. Seems to work. It's not on though. I must have done something wrong. Oh right. No, what I did wrong. I did only one thing wrong. This guy needs power. It doesn't have power. It's the identical problem to what I had here. This guy also could have been on the logic network, but then it wouldn't be able to run. That's the problem I have with this guy now. God damn it. I need another logic mirror. Ah. At least I have already printed those switches. And I have all the lights with me. How stupid. Feast. Has the upside that the logic mirror source code and the definition for a logic mirror is already in there. Digital valve bad code. I think this time the game didn't crash. I mean, if there was a certain time where it would have done that, that time is past. There's no golden way to do this, is there? So here we have the input. Yeah, the device that I want to mirror over to the other network is the one that needs to go on the input side. And that would be this one. So basically I need the red cable here, and since I do need the red cable there, or maybe not there, maybe I can place it here like I planned originally. Then I have to get the layer. This is better. Let's put it there. Let's put it there. Copy. Ah! Copy. That should work. Green cable, perfect, perfect. Okay, I should force this thing on, else that's not good. It would shut down the entire cooling system. Now for the name. Digvar Bedcool. Huh. Bed-led total. Okay, this guy has a name. And this guy also has a name. I'm confused. What if I rename this? Copy 1, 2, 3. It still works just fine. So I don't need to name it at all. That's what has been selected. Oh yeah. Then let's just take this name and paste it here. And rename this to LED or whatever. And then edit the source code, I guess. Or will it work now? No, it hasn't been assigned yet. Oh, logic reader, that's not right anyway. So copy the name. Logic mirror. Select device. What am I looking for? LED display large. There we go. Huh? What? Yeah, LED display large is now selected. I wonder if that even will work immediately. No, it won't, because I have to access now a logic mirror. I guess. I'm pretty sure, yeah. How did this work? Structure, logic, mirror. And then I gave it this name. I don't need to define the LED here at all. So let's do this. Just like I did below. And use this name. How do we access this then? By Lumia and this, Right batch name. Yeah, pretty stupid Rocketworks that things that are commented out still count as existing keywords, at least when it comes to the editor. And is that error still there? Yeah, it is. LED big, LED but total. That's not what I need here. What I need is that and Lumia. That's the stuff I need. Everything else stays the same because it's mirroring that device. So this is replaced. Oh, by the way, this thing shall have mode 0 and this thing shall be on. Then we set the value and then we set the color. And this should almost have been it. I want to turn it on also. Hey, wait, I cannot turn it on. I cannot access the logic mirror itself. I can only access the device. That's a bit wild. Export. I see no color. I see no display. What's happening? Oh, the thing's not yet on. Yeah, of course. It doesn't work. I mean, it's showing something. Apparently, we're currently charging up, if that is the correct interpretation. We're 22% and charging. That was overdue. But why is it not turning on? I told it to turn on. And the logic mirror did not turn on automatically. What am I doing? Could have read the source code over there. The logic mirror did also not turn on. So where is that on statement going? Right badge name, logic mirror bare total mode 0. And on. I'm writing on into it. Why is that not being taken? Why is that not taking effect? I mean, that very thing is taking effect when it comes to the digital valve. That's how this thing is even implemented. Here's the coding thing. Read the temperature, turn it to Celsius, turn it to logic value regarding 20 degrees, and then write badge named. Like up here, write badge named into logic mirror, logic mirror bed cool, and logic mirror bed total. And that is working because we see the value change. Color white has also been set. I remember it was green by default. So why is this not taking? Or is the... Oh, I know what's going on. Now it's off. Now it's on. Yeah, that was only happening at the head of the source code, and the head of the source code was not being re-executed just because I turned on the logic mirror. So we can go back to the fuel mixer. Oh, I think we just saw that actually discharging. What power is coming in? Can we see that? 7 kilowatts. And it's increasing right now. I think I saw this thing darker, like gray, a moment ago. So we're kind of still in a dire situation here. I need more wind turbines. Let me just go and start printing wind turbines so that if push comes to shove, I can just run over there quickly and fix things. And by the way, we still have the opportunity to pump some power over from this set of batteries with 50 kilowatts by flipping this thing on. And these batteries, in turn, I can recharge with this guy by burning some coal, and I have a ton of coal. So emergency, schmemergency. But I should prepare with wind turbines. How many can we make here? 3, and otherwise many. Let's allow this. Let's print many. And on we go. Oxygen, looking good. Jetpack, looking good. This one can be emptied. Actually, what we can do is this. As long as this is early enough, it will just be pumped back into the station. 13. Haha. Once everything in here is cabled up, I could also decorate the floor. I think I have some flat walls nearby. The entire apparatus should be switch offable right here, because that gives the right association when it's placed here, I mean. And currently it's off. That's how I should play this. And here, this thing would turn the vent on or off. Actually, I just realized I could just flip the lever in synchronicity with the vent being on or off. But maybe the animation of the lever cannot keep up, I don't know. That would not look good. It's better to express that with this guy. And a dial. That decides the balance. Yeah, well, I mean, there's a wise saying, and the trick really is just the implementation, like to hold oneself to it, and that is baby steps. Just take baby steps. Just know what the next stepping stone will be. And that, of course, implies that you need to have an idea of what the whole is that you're dealing with. Then you can just deal with it one stepping stone, because I have no idea yet how to really go through this, but I know I will just take baby steps. Pump is not yet connected. Fuel mixer slide. Fuel mix. Oops. Fuel mixer pump. Just fuel mixer pump. Just like this guy is the fuel mixer vent. And then we have the fuel mixer lever. And here we have the fuel mixer vent lever. And the guy's name is structure logic switch. This kind of suggests as if this were one of the first things that Rocketworks ever implemented here. Button and switch. Because, I mean, this guy, that's a switch, but it's called structure logic switch too. So, probably not the first thing that they implemented. Occupancy sensor, light long white, vent fuel mixer, diode slide. Define structural logic switch, SWI, a lever, yeah. And then we will have a lever for the vent, which will have this name. And then we will have a lever for the overall mixer, which is just this. Oh, right. Lever vent, lever mixer. Huh. And the dial. Dial mixer. And that should be the dial and the dial mixer. Yeah, it's a bit fucked up that this guy will pump into this thing immediately, even during our test runs. So let me just remove that pipe. And then let's just make some source code that... Oh, this is the pipe analyzer. Has that not yet been named? Let's prepare all the devices. So that's the pipe analyzer mixer. Define structure pipe analyzer, and that is misspelled, so we have to put the word size in here. Size! Analyzer. Then it works. Define. How did that ever happen, man? First thing we want, and we want that in every iteration for it. It's too important. We're mixing fuel here. We want to turn this thing on, and so that no one can turn it off, we would say SBN. Well, then again, no. I'm locking it. That's what I want to say. The first thing I do is locking, but when it's locked, then nothing can happen. Right batch named into this thing. Lock 1, and then turn it on. And now I want to turn on and off the actually, whether the vent or the pump should be on, I think I should make that registers. And pump on is not everything, we also need the pump power. So, alias pump on R15. Oops. Alias pump power R14. Alias not good. 13, 14, alias vent on R15. So the two ons are together, because then they can get a room and fuck and have children. Yeah. Now let's turn the actualize mixer devices. Here I will just tell the vent to be on or not. And the direction also? Yeah, I don't want to pump fuel into the landscape, so right patch name vent. No. This one. Tell the vent to have setting setting 1, which sucks. I always remember this in the following way. A 0 seems like a default value, though I do know of some devices that have certain values to be 1 instead of 0 by default. For example, the filtration unit, which when you turn it on after you have built it, will pump, will do stuff, right? That's the mode, that is 1. If you set that to 0, it will be off, but it will still be powered, so you can put a chip in there and run it, and turn it on and off without the chip losing its mind.
Power critical.
So anyway, for the vent, the default value would be 0. Setting is actually wrong, it would be mode. And mode 0 is harmless. The human stands in front of the vent and the vent pumps into the face of the human. 1 is dangerous because then you can no longer breathe. And that's what we need. We need the planet to breathe, or the moon to breathe into that vent. Yeah. And then we want to actualize the onness. Vent on. Then we do the same thing for the pump. Oh, do I have the pump? Not yet in here, I think not. Save. So much stuff, and we haven't even started with the mixing. Structure occupancy sensor, maybe we have to actually kick out some stuff later, but that's later. Fuel mixer active vent, fuel mixer vent, structure dart slide. Let's put the pump right here because it kind of belongs to the vent. Define hash. Define hash. Structure volume pump. And fuel mixer pump. This kind of typing style where I just vomit into the machine what I currently have in mind and later fill the rest in is one that I have acquired. Well, I'm not saying it's a skill or whatever, but I'm saying maybe it's a good thing at my workplace, because at any time the fucking phone can ring or some asshole tells you, hey, the thing, or whatever, ripping you from your thoughts, and so I'm trying to get everything that I currently have in my clipboard, aka my head, into the computer, and also I get to make sure that things are saved, and I make backups usually multiple times a day, so. Because paranoia is a good thing when it comes to IT. Yep. See also me forgetting to fucking save. And then the game crashes. Pump. And then pump mixer. Pump mixer. Would that have worked? Nope. Excuse me. Pump mixer. Actualize the pump mixer. Right batch named into the pump mixer. First the power. Not that it makes a difference, it really does not make a difference. Because as long as you're not releasing control, or the game forces you to relinquish control, because after 128 lines, yes, lines, not just statements, even this line counts and comment lines count, the game would force you to yield, which we are doing out of free will here. Jump start, there's a yield. Every time a yield takes place, by you or by the game doing that, also a sleep. I mean, sleep works the same way. I don't actually know if you can do this, probably not. Sleep 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, that's what it does, doesn't it? Pause execution on the IC for a second. Okay, someone wanted to type for a defined amount of seconds, or for a second, and then they thought, hey, there's a parameter here. So, two minds colliding in one sentence. So that of course will also yield, because why should the computer burn through cycles while your code is explicitly not doing anything? So right to the pump, the power. Wait, what is happening? Oh, this is wrong. Actualize devices. The onness, not this. So let's check the source code. Yield. Actualize. Do the light thing. Actualize mixer devices. Set the vent fuel mixer mode 1. Suck into the vent. Vent fuel mixer on. Vent on. Pump mixer. Setting pump power and on pump on. All right. Now let's toy with the setting. I will just flip both of these devices just to see what that's like. And actually, the diode slide is supposed to express whether the vent is on, so let's do that, which is then still a part of actualized devices, I would say. Oh, is that not yet in here? Ah, there it is. SBN. Diode slide, gedönsen, something on, vent on. Now let's flip those. Sex. Just remember the word sex, as in fuck and such. And such. Okay, that works too. Phonetically, sex. I'm writing into vent on, the inverse of that, and whatever it was before, now it's either 0 or 1, so that works fine. And I'm doing the same with the pump. And then we should see these flip on and off the whole time. Yeah, this one was set to 0 because that register hasn't yet been affected in this chip. These register values are always persistent between source code writing per chip, you know, and save game load and all that. That is all persistent, very, very useful. Probably a nightmare to implement.
Temperature low.
Uh-huh.
Temperature critical. Temperature low.
I'm curious, how are we doing power-wise? But I paused the whole time while coding, right? But I had many little coding sessions just now. Yeah, charging up. Okay. So, at least during the day, things are looking fine. And do we have a stack of thingies lying around here? It's not showing that. How many have I printed? Maybe it's below 10 and they're stacking to 10, who knows? Anyway, turning this thing off is not the dumbest thing. 8 wind turbines. I will just leave them in that room. We will need steel sheets and cables, and also a place to put all of that. Maybe we should print some more frames. No, currently have enough steel frames. these are not enough steel sheets. As a session is no power, so we go
Hunger, caution.
into the power room to get the things that are prepared to make more power. Yeah, and well, people, I mean, sometimes I look at comments, older comments on my YouTube videos, and so I was reminded again that some people want to know how can you place the batteries in a way that they will like discharge this one first and then this one, or vice versa. And I always thought, why the fuck, just do anything, whatever. I mean, the game will just change the order anyway, there's no way around that. Okay, one thing you can do, of course, you can chain the batteries together, which is risky. Some people even do that without a transformer, which I find ridiculous. Just because it didn't blow this one time, just because the battery was already full and then you added the other one and so forth and so forth, and they will also be emptied and filled like a waterfall, so that seems safe. I would always place a transformer between them. Always. What if the game recalculates the power networks and suddenly some cables burst and then you run into all kinds of problems because you want to prepare for that? And also, it is just because the game seems to do it right. Is this grey? Should be grey because it's discharging. Aha, power's kicking in again, so maybe it will turn white soon. I mean, to me that looks white. Excuse me. Ah, there we go. Ah. Now we can distinguish. If it doesn't shine, it's basically not on. So that's what we can now see. And what we can also see is that it's quite on the edge. So during the night we will probably experience some discharge. Jing. So, what is good that I have these wind turbines now. Yep. Always prepare, even for the impossible. Like transformers and such. Hey, wait, didn't I wanna do something? I forgot. Not sure. Still doing that. So that turning on thing works. I just don't know if the vent is also turning on and off. The slide is only indicating that. And are any of these turning on and off? No. Okay, so that's good. All is well. So we can now go and make the cross-fading logic, so to speak. Which should... I mean, the maximum power I can get out of this guy is to be on the whole time at power 10. And the maximum power I can get out of this guy is to just be on the whole time. The least power I can get out of this guy is to just be off. Same for this guy. So that's what the crossfading would then be. Maybe I have to actually attenuate that, or maybe use some kind of gamma curve by raising it to the power off or whatever, which sounds daunting, but it's not at all. I mean, I've been dealing with that oftentimes when it comes, for example, to volume sliders, because another tangent, behold. Can actually demonstrate that, huh? Now, be warned, it will get a little loud, because it's the only way for me to demonstrate this right now. I will not play some random Steam store tavern keeper. Yeah, why not? Some video, some trailer.
It's another beautiful day.
So that was full volume, and I will now go to slightly less volume. You just heard me flipped between maximum volume and like 70% volume. It should have been much less loud at that point. And at the bottom we have maximum power, basically.
Oh dear.
So how loud was that? 70%? No, that was about 30%. These sliders are all completely bent out of shape. Let's do the same thing again with YouTube. And then it will be loud again. By the way, I can reload my page here, published a video today, 60 views, 5 likes, reload. and now we at 84 likes and 84 views and 7 likes. And that is this video. Veterans might say, well, this is not good, you should have another centrifuge there. And I would object, I have not yet seen any stacking up of, so I just changed between full volume at 70%, back and forth, same problem. Now let's turn it up a little, in the past too, but in the recent months, no. I don't know why. So it could be. So there was like 30%, and now it's full volume again, which that you have to open and close, and that you can also lock, not the dial neither. So I just turned it to full volume, then to 30%. Very obviously, it's not behaving properly. It should have been so much less loud. Yeah, and that's what basically every game developer ever does wrong. Well, except for Rocketworks, for example. So let's go to the game's sound settings, audio, and I will set them to maximum. %. Much less loud, I mean really significantly, huh? 50%. I mean, I think they're even doing it a bit strong. So what's happening? Here's the explanation. You can generally think of many values in programming as decimal values from 0 to 1. Very often that works out very nicely because, I mean, it's a unitless situation. Just like Max Planck, a German physics head, physician, yeah, no, not really, came up with his Planck units. For example, the Planck length, the supposed hypothetically smallest meaningful length in the universe. But also he said, well, speed of light, that's just speed 1, because it's absolute and everything else should relate to it. That would make sense. And so also then some formulas were rewritten, at least test-wise, with those units, and then this would actually eliminate some elements from it, because you know. So in this situation, when we have volume, we could say, well, the volume shall go from 0 to 255, not to 256, because that is more than 8 bits or whatever bullshit, you know. That's arbitrary. I mean, if we say, does it go to 255? Or do we just say it goes from 0 to 100? Of course, here we have nice human numbers on the screen. Fine, okay. But in principle, you don't need what's the term? You don't need a unit, basically. It's a unitless situation. You just need nothing and something and all the things in between. And 0 to 1 represents that optimally, and that's why we use that in programming when we can, and that applies certainly to volume. I mean, let's think about the waveform that is jumping about and being pumped into the audio card, into the audio playback. If we just let it through like it is, it will be loud. But if we multiply the values that are being pumped therein by the value 0.5, then they will be squeezed together towards the center line. And maybe you know that the waveforms are expressing basically how the speaker membrane will swing around its relaxed center point, the amplitude, you know. And if you reduce that, squeeze it towards the center, then it will be less loud because it's moving less, obviously. It's exciting the air less, and so your ears are not so excited. Yeah, and if we just use a volume slider and multiply that value with 0.9, 0.8, 0.7, you might think, well, this gets the job done. And that's what most programmers think, and I don't understand why they think that. I mean, I understand why they would at first think that, but once they've written down and use the slider, they will immediately have to notice that they are all fucked up. Like, these are all fucked up, except these ones. These are a bit strong when it comes to their curve. but somehow no one notices, and I don't fucking get that. What I have noticed in recent years is that some games now come along whose volume sliders will just be at 50% by default. You know, you install the game, you start it, it will be at 50%, because that is when the range really begins to kick in, where everything above here will be only a very slight difference. So they basically noticed, but they still didn't fix it. And I don't understand that. If you're a programmer and can actually pull off a game like this, I mean, okay, maybe not like this, Rocketworks is different, but, you know, generally, how can you be so retarded, so stupid, so actually guiltily, it is unfathomable that everybody does this wrong and perpetuates that shit, as to not understand that you have to raise the value that you want to set there to the power of a positive number. Let's see. If we have the value 0.9 instead of 1, aka we have 90% instead of 100%. If we now multiply this 0.9 with itself, we get 0.81. In other words, if the user sets the volume to 90%, the value set that will actually be applied to the waveform will be 0.81. And so in other words, when you do this, the slider will be already here. Raising to the power of 2 is not yet enough. Raising to the power of 3 is a bit strong. I don't have the numbers in my head right now. But anyway, that is probably what they did here. But I also toyed around with that and realized that the best thing, in my opinion, is to use Euler's number 2.7 blah 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 stuff, you know, to raise it to that power. Then the slider will have a diagonal, but the value that it generates will be it will be a curve. And that's all they have to do. That's one line of code that will only be executed when the slider is actually being changed, or whenever you load in or whatever. So it's not even a matter of cycles that have to be wasted. I don't get that. Why is everybody so fucking stupid? Well, and that's the kind of thing we have to do here also, possibly, when you do this crossfading. I can set the maximum value here. Currently I cannot do anything. Let me set the maximum and minimum of the slider. Is it dial? Dial, of course. Mode, prefab hash setting, reference ID ratio. Ratio? Setting. Excuse me? Can I not set the maximum? Mode, read write. What is the mode of this thing? An assignable dial with up to 1000 modes. Okay, enough said. Let's just go from 0 to 10. That would then be... actually, let's use the screwdriver and see if I can set 0.1 or something. I want to know. Clicking here, 10. Clicking R. Okay, so it doesn't have decimal places, so we will have to emulate decimal places by not doing 0 to 1, because that would only be 2. I would do 0 to 10. That's fine. Write batch named into the dial that its mode shall be 10. Now I can get it up to 10. I can get it up. Aha. Okay. And now I need to implement that crossfading. How would I do this? Well, let's just think about... Oh, well, let's answer a question. The edge cases we have already answered. This one at full power and this one off. Or this one being on and this one off. And in the middle, will there be a point when both will be off? No. But that's key to the entire mixer, that we can just crossfade, and then we have to decide which value to set for the mixer. And that will be another very tricky thing. I wonder if I can pull this off in this few lines. This actualizes the devices as they are right now. But I will just squeeze the source code in the middle here, and I will read the dial. Maybe I will just set the dial automatically, and will read the dial value, and that's then the mixer decision. Yeah. Then we can also read that. Actually, no, I wanted to use the dial slide to show that. Yeah, well, that would be another register. Alias X fade. That says it all. R12. And that shall be a value from 0 to 1. I will multiply that by 10 and round it, and then write it. I don't know if I have to round it actually. Maybe the rounding is automatic when I write it to the setting here. I don't know. I don't trust this. Maybe it will just be clipped, cast to integer, and so something will be cut off instead of rounding properly. So I will rather round that myself. I want to load into register R0 from the dial mixer the mode. Then I know what that setting is. This, and then I want to write, then I want to... Yeah, okay, whatever. Currently I'm of course in manual mode. I want to multiply, divide into... maybe I should make another constant up here, though lines are getting thinner. Define dial steps 10. Magic numbers replaced. Yeah, okay, whatever. Divide into R0. No. Into R0? Into X fade. From what currently is set in the dial, divided by dial steps. So 0 to 10 divided by 10 becomes 0 to 1. In this instance, we don't need to crossfade. Actually, how would I... Oh, what's happening? Oh yeah, okay. You have to do data backup. The backup. When was my last backup? 31st. We have the 3rd. Oh no, I just skip a week. Okay, done. I'm thinking about just using values from 0 to 10 when it comes to X fading. In other words, I don't need the X fade at all, I would just use the dial. But I would have to, like, it makes sense to have a register here, so that I can refer to it easily. And that I'm kind of independent of the dial here. I don't know yet if the dial will always be tied to this. But I'm thinking about having the X fade actually be in actual steps from 0, 1, 2 and so forth. Equals is of course always a bit iffy, but I can round this to integer values. Can I derive for the pump? Yeah. Okay, that's actually pretty clear. Yeah. No, I would stay with decimal with decimals. So, divide, multiply. What do I want to do? Multiply into the pump power. The X fade, which could be at 1. You know, once again, this unitless thing. Now I was thinking, hey, isn't this like 10? No, just use 1. 0 to 1. That is mathematically so beautiful. For example, raising the volume slider from 0 to 1, raising that to the power of whatever the fuck, will, as long as, you know, will always keep that between from 0 to 1, not between 0 to 1. I don't like to say between, because between to me means it's not 0 and it's not 1, but it's anything in between. That's why I don't like to say that, even though everybody says it like this, and this is probably also proper English. But I dislike it, because just because it's proper English doesn't mean it's proper. See, I mean, sometimes humans are stupid, and I'm trying to not be stupid if possible. Multiply. Pump power by X fade. Yeah, the pump power is defined from 0 to 10. Actually, is it 0? Can I set that to 0? It's currently 0 liters. And actually, yeah, I'm pretty sure that the pump power can actually be set in decimals. I'm very sure of that. Also, it doesn't really matter. Or does it? But how about I just write into pump power 0.123. 4. Convinced? 1, 2, 3.
Hunger critical.
Interesting. Maybe I should do this. It appears that the extra step that I had in mind but didn't yet express that I wanted to do is not necessary at all, which is that I would want to explicitly turn the pump off. But I don't need to, it appears. Because look here, it's... Oh, it's at 10? Why is it at 10? What? Why is it at 10? Okay, I did something very wrong. Or did I forget to write this? No. Loading from the dial into R0. Maybe I should write that on the housing. I'm not sure what's happening here. Right into the housing setting X fade. That should be a value from 0 to 1. Currently it's 1. Oh, okay. So I guess my dial isn't yet working correctly. But it should. I mean, I'm setting the mode. I know that I did this. Write batch name, dial mixer.
Hydration critical.
Load batch name, dial mixer. Mode dial steps. Oh, right, the mode. Stupid, I have to read out the setting. Yeah, of course. Oh, that is logical then. Now we're at 5 liters. And now, that's the phenomenon I wanted to speak. See, it appears as if the pump is not really on. There's a difference, isn't there? Can't make up my mind. Because it doesn't have lips. Oh my god. Yeah, great song. I wonder which country would object, because they always do, don't they? The moment it gets good, someone would say, well, blah blah. Okay, so I don't have to turn that thing off. We can just actualize the crossfading logic simply by writing that directly to its power. So does that mean the thing will be on the whole time? Oh, that's a good question. Let's see how much power it actually uses. We have a cable analyzer here. And that will be fun, because that's the entire fucking rocket system here. Where's... Ah, yeah, here you go. Fuel mixer slide. Uses 25 watts, that's fine. Where's that pump? There we go. Fuel mixer pump. Off, on, but unpowered, so it doesn't consume anything. Fuel mixer pump. On, 20 watts. $200 watts. Okay, I didn't even know this. Neither did many of you. Hooray! I guess. Well, gotta stuff my face. Power. Yeah, okay, but I think it's very clearly working only because we're currently benefiting from the solar panels. So currently we're kind of living from day to day. If we're living, if we're staying alive. Yeah. Eat and drink. Should make an automatic walkthrough airlock somewhere here. Really too fast that has sensors and all you need to do is walk. Like I did on the moon, really fast. Aha, okay, time to make some bread, I guess. Now it's 5. How much wheat do I have? 6. 6 is fine. 20. Potatoes. Yeah, well, they're still good for tossing away, I guess. I think if I toss these right into the shredder, they will turn into some useless mush, which I'm actually curious what its name was. I have forgotten. What's currently in there, so we can distinguish. A little bit of iron reagent, a little bit of steel reagent. And now it's a little bit of biomass. But what does it look like when it comes out? Aha. Brown ball of goo or whatever. Okay. And then what would come out, I guess, is indeed biomass. And biomass is this stuff. And if you toss it into the arc furnace, we better step a little bit back, because there will be fiery explosion and charcoal also. I can't make bread right now. Should have something in the fridge actually. I mean, just tossing all of those away wasn't the best move. But it's not a problem. Still also have some of these, right? This bar and 2 of these, yeah. Too bad I can't put that in there again. That's a bit unfortunate. I have feasted. Back to programming. Oxygen. It's fine. Safe. That looks weird. If I would observe that in reality, I'd be spooked. That might be related to my temporal anti-aliasing. I will just change that for a moment to see what it does. Advanced anti-aliasing. Oh, none? When the fuck did this happen? Oh man, I was doing this whole thing without anti-aliasing the whole time? How many episodes have been recorded like that? Crap, I mean, it's impossible to check everything. Okay. Whether this thing should be on, well, apparently it should be on the whole time. When we're in auto mode. In manual mode, I do everything manually. In auto, well, that's actually, yeah, and in auto mode, it should just be on the whole time. Maybe I should implement that so far, and this is the fuel mixer lever. And maybe I should make a register for that also, because it's a big one. Mixer auto mode. Load batch named into auto mode from lever mixer. Open sum. And then I will actually make sure that the pump. No. Yeah, it's actually a good thing. I will read that into R0. Haha. Branch greater than 0. Relative. If the lever is in auto mode, then I will just skip over the shit. Else, I will execute this shit. If, I'm sorry. If the, This is about it changing to off. Then I want to deactivate the devices, but I don't want to turn them off just because auto mode is off, because that would fly in the face of a manual mode, obviously. what am I trying to do? The lever is on. If it is on, I will just skip down here. But if it is off, then I need to find out, was it turned off right now? And down here we will write into auto mode whatever is now 0, so that will always be current. Now I have to find out if auto mode is... Yeah, if auto mode, if this thing is not greater than 0, then it is 0. So when we're here, the lever is at 0, so it's closed. Which means that auto mode is off. If my auto mode variable that I have remembered up here, if that is also equal to 0, then we're already there. Then we can jump down there. And this is then in that very moment superfluous. But there's also the opposite option of the lever being greater than 0. Then we also want to make the auto mode follow. Anyway, so if the auto mode is not equal to 0, then we need to do something. We need to turn off the devices. And that I will do here. Maybe this actualized devices thing should actually be a subroutine, because else it will be executed every time. And here I need to turn off the vent. And the pump. Just for safety reasons, when I flip the automatic thing off, these things have to be turned off. Now the question is, are we in auto mode? If we are not in auto mode, then I will just jump back to start, because I think that the code here should not do anything else. And if so, then that stuff will just be placed up here, unrelated stuff, not related to the mixer. So if auto mode is 0, then just jump to start and do nothing else here. Else I will tell the pump to be on, because that is always right. In other words, we don't need the register for the pump on value, because the pump will always be on, except in manual mode. Whatever it is then, on or off, we don't know, we don't care. Went on 15, 14, 13, 12. That will not happen, that flipping right now. And that writing here also not, because it will just always be on. In auto mode. Excuse me? Why is the vent now on the whole time? Something's not right. Oh right, of course, auto mode. I cannot hear whether the vent was actually turned off. It should be. It is off. I mean, too bad that in that mode I cannot... Or can I? Maybe I should do this whole diode slide actualization thing in a different way. Maybe I should just read out whether the vent is on and copy that into this guy, but this will then have a delay every time. Will it? Damn. It depends on whether I would call that subroutine. Crap. Structural problem. Whenever the lever flips, I cannot hear the vent turn off. And it's not an acoustic problem, I believe it's really just in the game that the click cannot be heard. Hey, let me just open the wall. That should help. Uh-huh. I think it's reliable, and it should be, because it seems logical. So what does this thing do? Well, this thing is supposed to decide whether the vent is on, so I can do that when I'm in manual mode. But that should not kick in an auto mode. That's a bit iffy, because the user interface will not express that. Which this is the user interface. So I need to be able to turn the vent on with a lever. Lever vent, that's the one. If auto mode is off, then we jump back to start. I could also... Oh, we can do the opposite. If not equal to 0, then we don't jump to start, but to do auto mode. Could also be a relative jump. And here we jump to start. And here we can do the lever. That'll be from behind. Active, no, open sum. Here I'm loading that and writing that directly into the vent. It's onness. Yeah. The vent mode is, I guess, well, that should be written every time. Because it is definitely only to suck in the room, period. Don't want to blow my fuel into the planet. And if ever, then I would just comment that line out. That's such an exceptional situation. Exceptional! Haha, get it? Where do I put this? SPN vent mode 1. Lever mixer open. That should happen all the time. So we are in auto mode. Auto is not equal to 0. Then do auto mode and does all the stuff down here, whatever that will do then. And then here we copy the lever vent to the vents onness. What? It doesn't sound like it's on. It's not on. Dude, why not? Is the lever vent somehow wrong? Fuel mixer, lever, vent. Fuel mixer, vent, lever. Oh, that's the fuel mixer lever. Fuel mixer, vent, lever. Yeah, the name is wrong. That's what's happening. Because it's not the vent of the lever, it's the lever of the vent. Oh, no, that's not good. Okay, before I'm done here with programming, the wall will stay open. Okay, works like intended. Okay, works completely like intended. Now the crossfade. This one has been crossfaded, this one has not been. How can I do this? Well, we need to have some interval. Either this thing is on or it is not. And that's where things get tricky. I need alias vent toggle countdown. Toggle countdown. But do I not also need whether the vent should currently be on? Yeah, I think so. I can just read that from the vent, but I cannot comfortably flick it. So I would have to first read and then invert it and write again and so forth. That seems a bit... I don't know if it's expensive in any way to read from a device versus just dealing with registers. So I think I will just have... Alias, vent on. Wait, we already have the vent on set up there. Of course. Yeah, of course, we already have that. Vent on countdown. Now that's a bit tricky, because when I change dynamically by automatism that I still don't quite know yet how to implement, the cross-fading value, then that should smoothly adapt the vent. I mean, it can't be that whenever that setting changes, the vent will be switched to on and we have a countdown or whatever. There needs to be some kind of interval. Or shouldn't it be a countdown? Yes, in a way, I have to implement in this digital over time on-offness thing the following question. How on is the vent? How on is it? Some kind of dithering, so to speak. And I have an answer. A golden, glorious, simple fucking answer. That's really a good idea. Randomness. And I will just adjust the threshold. Let the randomness generator solve it. Over time, it would equalize to the very value that we want. Yeah, that's it. That's the answer. We don't need a countdown. 15, 14, 13, 12. So where is that thing? That's what the dial steps here. And here we're writing the vent on and off. Let's not do that anymore. Actually, that's no longer needed, because why would it have to be a subroutine? So far, doesn't look like it. Multiply pump power x fade 10. And down here we actualize that. And we actualize also whether the vent should be on. And that is the opportunity for the randomness. Let's see, rand. Register A will be set to a random value from 0 to 1. 0 is less than or equal to x, is less than 1. You might think that's a bit odd, but I don't know it differently from programming languages when they just generate a random value in the 0 to 1 range, that they will go from 0 to all but 1. So that's something you need to keep in mind when you're trying to create an integer value. Let's say I want an integer value from 0 to and including 10. Then I can not just go and say, well, multiply whatever random value you get by 10, because you will never get 10. You will only get 9. Yeah, and with rounding, it's actually... Anyway, so I get a value from, let's just say 0 to 1. I mean, who cares whether it's 0.99999999999? I don't care. What I want to know now is how that relates to the onness of the vent. Let's say, what if I multiply the random value that I get here? What would happen if I multiply, probably in vent, no, not first, not yet, quite. What if I multiply the pump power, which is a value from, no, x fade. The x fade from 0 to 1, what if I multiply that with that? So we have a value, we have the random value 0, we get 0. We have the random value 1, we get x fade. What if x fade is 1? This doesn't sound right. This seems like a filter that's rather tending towards offness. I think we have to think about a threshold instead. This will be one of those moments when I might still sound a bit stupid because it might seem very obvious what you have to do, but... Okay, let's see. I want the pump to be on with a probability of 1 when x fade is completely at 0. By the way, it's x fade. The pump power will be set to maximum when x fade is 1, which means that the vent power has to be set to full, whatever that means, when x fade is 0. But okay, let's ignore that for a fact. Let's assume it is just like the pump power, so we don't have that additional complication while thinking this. Let's say x fade 1 means the vent will be on the whole time, and 0 means it will be off the whole time. And we have a random generator that will give us some dithering, basically. So I can just say if the value, the random value that has been generated is less than x fade, if we set x fade to 0.1, then the probability that the random value will be there is very low. If we say that x fade is 1 and the random value has to be less than or equal to that, then that is of a probability of 1. So in that situation we have x fade being 1, meaning that the vent will be on, definitely. And we can invert that very easily, the x fade thing, by just saying instead of less than we say greater than. And that's the solution. So write into register vent on whether the random value is greater than x fade. If x fade is 0, or greater than or equal, if x fade is 0, then the random value will be definitely equal or greater than that. So the vent will definitely be on when the crossfade is at 0. If the crossfade is at 1, then the number cannot be equal, let alone greater, that has been randomly chosen. So that's our crossfade. That should work. God damn it, that's genius if it works. Sorry. On the whole time, like it should be. And now? Now this thing is... It's a bit weird that it's on the whole time, shouldn't it? Ah, okay, sometimes it turns off. Okay. Maybe I need to bend the random value like I expressed earlier. And let's go to 10. Now it's just pumping at full speed. We have implemented the crossfade. Hello! That was so easy. Randomness. What a solution. To make a fuel mixer, I used randomness. Who has ever used the random value to implement the fuel mixer? But now for the big question. How do I get this thing to automatically choose the right crossfade value? But you know what? Let's observe what this thing does. I will... That's the question, should I cheat now? Because, I mean, this is survival right now. I mean, if I have to drink now, I will run back, drink something, return here and continue. That's survival. If I now get some stupid mix here that is shitty, then, well, that's also survival. Maybe I should cable this up and deal with whatever happens now, huh? What if I get some crappy mix here? What would I do? Well, now that this thing is manual, I cannot do this. Maybe should move that to the... I mean, then I can just vent to the planet. That option would exist then. So the mode of the active vent, which will be set here, remove that and write it up here, so I would have the option to just vent to the planet. Export. Oh, okay, let's cable it up. Let's pipe it up. I want to see what this thing does. So here we can see the mixer ratio. Let me set this thing to... Let's see. 0 means... Well, interestingly, 0 means that the active vent will be on the whole time. And 0 could be interpreted as a ratio of volatiles. In other words, let's make this thing pink. Save. And what should the ratio be? Well, it should be 66%, no? I cannot set that here. I mean, I could increase the resolution of this thing by using values up to 100, that's a possibility, but let's see what happens. This is astonishingly correct. Actually, no, it's not. There's too much oxygen in there.
Power low.
It's not a surprise, because, I mean, why would I expect that the amount of gas that comes in here is equal to the amount of gas pumped from here? There's no reason for that. The pressure out here is different. The active vent has its own functionality and strength. The power, the amount of gas in here and the volume pump, they interact basically. In other words, the lower the pressure is here, the less the volume pump will pump. So that is a super iffy thing. 2 megapascals. Okay. How do we get this thing to equalize? I will just say we want significantly more volatiles. Okay, we can tell that the active vent is too strong for what we're trying to do here. In other words, we need to make sure that the active vent will not be so very on. Okay, how can we do this? Here we're getting a random value from 0 to 1. And if the random value is greater than or equal to x fade, then the vent will be on. And if I want the vent to be on less, then it means that, funny enough, I have to raise this thing to a power. Is that the right thing? Stores the result of raising a to the power of b in the register. That's exactly what we need, because this will, like in the example of the volume slider, which is linear, create a curve. It's like, I mean, it's very steep. What I'm doing here by raising to the power of 10 is very extreme. And so when I turn up the dial, the vent will not be on, will not be on, will not be on, will be somewhat on, will be very on, blah, blah, blah. Is it so? Is it the logic? Let's say this. The value that results from this will most probably be 0 or close to 0. Here I'm saying that the random value, if that is greater than or equal to X fade, the vent shall be on. Somehow I feel as if I just did the opposite of what I want. But let's see, I will just set it to the power of 10. Vent is off. Power of 8. Okay, let's remove this line and see if the rhythm seems to change. Ah, stupid. I don't have the feeling as if it's different. Oh, 8. Anyway, why is this thing on so very often? For those who don't know, raising to the power of, if I multiply a value with itself, that's squaring it. So that's to the power of 2. 10 times 10 is 100. That is raising 10 to the power of 2. Raising 10 to the power of 3 would be 10 times 10 times 10. So here I'm multiplying R0 with itself 10 times. So if it's like 0.5, then the outcome of that would probably be 0.00001 or whatever. So that would be a very low value, and then I'm checking, is this very low value greater than or equal to X fade? If yes, then vent on shall be true, and vent on will be written to the thing. So in other words, if I set if X fade, if it's greater than or equal to X fade. Well, this is some kind of hinge point. That's why I'm having trouble thinking through this. So the energy that's hanging from this logic right now. Okay, I wanna do a dry run again, because I get the feeling as if we are running into fuel trouble here. So go, baby, show me what you can do. It's very rarely on now, and if I go to 0, then it's on the whole time. Go to 1, still very on. Why is it so very on? I mean, raising the value to the power of 10. You know how much that is. But let's simulate that. Let's actually, let's write that value to the housing. SDB setting R0. Let's see what value is actually in play after raising to the power of. Yeah, so like I said, raising it to the power makes it killer small. And if we don't do that, then it's very, very on. Excuse me? should it be on at least sometimes? Yes, it is on sometimes. But I mean, when I tried this earlier, wasn't it on rather often? Or am I just leaning a bit too hard into this randomness thing? Maybe I cannot use random values for these. Maybe the random generator isn't whitened or whatever. Anyway, the way it looks as if the active vent is too strong. Maybe I should also bend the pump curve upwards. Oh, that's a possibility. And how do I do that? By also raising it to the power of, but not 2, 3, 5 or whatever, but 0.5, which is getting the square root. So if I raise 9 to the power of 0.5, I get 3. So if I raise 0.81 to the power of 0.5, I get 0.9. So I'm bending the curve upwards. In other words, I would like to make this thing more powerful more easily. Yeah, let's do that. So you raise this to the power of 10, and the thing that's going into the pump, where is that? Where's actually the pump power X8? Oh, right. This is the raising power thing, this is the multiplication thing. I would have to... am I even using the right values? See, I'm using random, and I'm making that relationship with X fade to dither it. So I'm raising X fade to the power of 0.5, and that's the value that I then multiply by 10 and write into the pump power. Okay, now we have a power here of 8.94 liters. Let's go to 5. But we're already at 7. Let's remove that one line. Okay, that's not appropriate. Move into a 0x fade. Because if I remove that line, that would work. Pump is now at 5 liters. 4 liters. Okay. And if I raise that to the power of 0.5, we get a higher value. Listen. Yeah, it's now higher. And I will do 0.1. Let's do that then. 9.9 liters at 9. At 10, we're at 10. And what about 0? 0, like it should be. 1. Oh, 1 is already at 7 liters. That's a bit brutal. Or is it? I get the feeling that this dithering with the active vent is not the best solution. Maybe I should actually build some oxygen tank with pressure and so forth, and then use some volume pump, and then crossfade like that, because this just seems to be too adventurous. It's like too uneven what's happening here. 0.2 then? 6 liters. And I want to try this again in live mode. Currently we have 6 megapascals, which is already pretty much for the little volume that we have here. The mix is not good. Let's go to 100% volatiles. We should, of course, even out the mix. The more we have in here, the more easy it will be to stay on course. Oh, damn, I should have used this. Okay, doesn't matter. Now let's go to 0.5, to half, to the setting of half. I think oxygen's losing. Maybe to the power of 10 is a bit too extreme. Okay, let's raise it to the power of 4 then. Definitely on more, okay. That's catching up and now it's way too much. Apparently the crossfading is kinda working, once we have enough gas in here. Ridiculous. What a solution. This is a relatively even fuel mix. I mean, it is a bit wild, but we do have a crossfade here that works. But how to decide that? I mean, if it were volume pumps with some gas pressure behind it, okay. That I think I have, yeah, okay. Enough said. This approach is cool, it is, but it's not good enough. It's too uneven. We need a pressure device for the oxygen, and then you have to use another volume pump and do the crossfading with that then. That's the way. That's the way we gotta do it. Yep. And save, and I will now pump that into the rocket and fly off with it, and then that's the end of the video. One megapascal, 2 megapascals, okay. Pressure is 4, 5 megapascals, 6 megapascals. Oh, aerostate, shit. What's happening? And we're now at 15 megapascals, I guess. 14, not bad. I've played this before. Why cannot... Why is this an aerostate? It has power, doesn't it? Power, 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 power. Yep, it has power. Why is it an aerostate? I mean, does it detect that the fuel mix is not perfect, or what's the reason? I don't think so. I'm very convinced it's not the reason. Oh, I see. The arrow state is because the umbilical here is not even connected to the rocket. That's a good reason. Let's see, where does it have to be connected then? It has to be connected... This is the pump that pumps into the drive. And then it has to be connected here. This is quite a wasteful design, I think. Can we turn it on now? Yeah, we can. Pump, baby. $11 megapascals. And it's an uneven mix, but whatever. And I realized that this is still not good, because it would be better if this pump would be here, basically.
Hunger critical.
But I can now pump this pipe empty, so that's fine, I guess. $18 megapascals. How much is left in our little fuel mixer here? Still 11 megapascals. Okay, that's a lot. That's certainly enough for a goodbye lift-off, so whatever. Umbilical retreat. Oh, and maybe I should turn off this heating thing, because that will waste battery a lot. Why is this still on? What temperature do we have in there? Oh, that fuel is very cold and it's trying to heat that up. Nope. Alright, so everything is off. We set the orbit as the destination. Pipe heater is off, volume pump is off, pumped gas engine is off. Butt plug has run out of fuel.
Hydration critical.
Yeah, sure. That is off, that is off, that is off. Turn on the engine. And the volume pump, set that to power, I don't know, 0.1? Or 0.05? I'm not sure. Okay. What thrust do we get? 0.5 kilonewtons. Okay. How about the 0.8 then? Ah, that's more. How about 0.1 then?
Power critical.
Okay. Everything is critical right now. Oh shit, the rocket is flying away without me. No, I wanted to fly with you. Failure. I suck. Goodbye.